As you progress to the ATM10 mod pack, you're going to realize pretty quickly that it's very difficult to just passively get enough XP to do everything that you want to do. There's some incredible enchants out there and some really cool things that you can do through Apotheosis to upgrade your enchanting capacity. However, all of these things require a very large number of XP levels. In this video, I'm going to show you how to build the best mob farm in all of Mods 10 so that you don't have to worry about XP. You can passively generate all the XP you need and just have it when you want to use it. My name's Sean Hall. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's get to it. All right, so first things first, the layout. What we're looking at here is the general size that I like to use for my mob farms. You can always change it. You can make it different sizes, but generally speaking, this is what I do right here. I try to use a 13 by 13 square that has an interior dimension of 11 by 11 blocks, and inside of there it pushes all the mobs to this front little area, which is a 3 by 3 square, or on the outside it's 5 by 5. Now in general, I would build this mob farm out of something not flammable, some sort of stone, rock, something that's not going to be destroyed easily. However, for the sake of this video, I'm going to be building it with these cherry logs, so that way it's very easy to differentiate how many blocks I'm using. So we're going to go ahead and build most of this structure, and then I'll show you the intricacies of it a little bit later on. Also, if you're not using the building gadget in all the mods 10, you definitely should be. It's a fantastic tool to have. We're going to go up by 10 blocks. Now you do want to build all the way across in front here, and then we're just going to cut out a little section that is 3 blocks tall, so that way the mobs can get through no matter what. Now for this front little bit here, we're going to come straight out and then straight across the top as well. You will want to fill in the top of this main area. I'm just not going to do that yet because I want there to be light in there as I show you how to do the rest of this. Okay, so we got that part done. Come back and finish off the top a little bit later. The next thing you're going to want to worry about is the floor. In order to move all of these mobs to the front area, we're going to use these entity conveyors. In previous mod packs, we had something that was called vector plates, and those would move mobs based off of the direction they were pointing. However, in all of mods 10, those don't exist yet, or maybe not at all. So we're going to use these entity conveyors to basically do the same thing. To fill out this entire area, you're going to need 124 of them. All right, so we got the floor all cleared out. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start on this side, and these vector plates will point the opposite direction of the direction that you're looking. If we look at this wall, we place it down, it'll point towards us. So on this far wall, we're going to start with several layers of these that are all pointing directly at us. And after we get through 4 of them, we're going to do a layer along each wall that are pointing towards the center. We'll do one more, and then we'll do one more on this side as well. So what this allows us to do is any mobs that spawn in here will funnel towards the middle right here, which is where we're trying to get them all to go. Now, the only thing I would definitely suggest doing is make sure that these 2 catty corner to the edge here are pointing inwards. And the reason for that is because I've seen a lot of these designs where the mobs will get caught up on this corner right here because this one's pushing them towards the end instead of towards the center. And so they'll just sit there and get stuck and never actually go into the control area where they get killed and processed into their XP and items. So make sure that these 2 right here are pointing inwards. And then we'll do 3 more right there. So that is the entire setup for these entity conveyors. Hopefully you can see the direction that I have them all pushing. Just to kind of show you how this works, so say I'm a mob, I get spawned in here in the corner, it shows me all the way to here, which is what we wanted to do. All right, so next up, dig this area right here, this little 3 by 3 area down 1 block. Then this is our setup for actually controlling and mashing all of the mobs. We're going to be using this redstone glass, 9 of these mob mashers, and then we're going to need 90 sharpness upgrades and 90 looting upgrades. So to set this up, we use the redstone glass. You could use anything that's got a redstone signal. I just use redstone glass because it's easier to build with, and it sends a redstone signal. So you could theoretically just put redstone torches down there if that's easier. So we put the redstone glass down. On top of it, we put the mob mashers, and then in each one of these mob mashers, you're going to put 10 sharpness upgrades and 10 looting upgrades. Perfect. So all of those are set up now. So now what will happen is as the mobs spawn inside of there, they will be pushed down using the entity conveyors right into here where they will be killed. And then we just have to set up a system for picking up their items and XP. Be very careful at this point not to land on the entity conveyors, because if it shoves you into the mob mashers, you will very likely die. They do a very large amount of damage. All right, let's go ahead. We're going to put some glass here in front. This way we can see everything happening. we're going to move on to the next step, which is going to be the actual collection of the items. To do this, we're going to be using a netherite backpack with an advanced magnet upgrade and a stacking upgrade. We also will be using an experience holder, and to transport items out of the backpack, we're going to be using item pipes, preferably with an ultimate pipe upgrade. Depending on how many items you get, you may not need that high of a tier. You could just use a normal upgrade as well. The backpack, I like to set front and center right there. And then we add the magnet upgrade and the stacking upgrade. So the magnet upgrade is going to allow you to pick up any of the items that are falling on the ground from the mobs, and they'll be imported directly into here. The stack upgrade allows you to multiply the number of items that this backpack can hold. It's already a netherite backpack, so it can hold a lot, but now the stack size limitation becomes exponentially higher for each item. So next, what we're going to do is we are going to set up an item pipe from the backpack for now into a trash can, because I don't actually need any of these items. What you'll want to do is for this, I would recommend having a trash can here. And then I would make sure to export using the pipe wrench on the side of the backpack from the backport into the trash can. Right now, anything that goes into the backpack will go directly into the trash can. It goes into here, gets thrown away. I would right click on the item pipe on the side of the backpack, put in your pipe upgrade, and switch this from whitelist to blacklist. So blacklist means that there is a certain set of items that you do not want going into the trash. And then if there's something that you actually need, some drop from these mobs that you want to actually keep, all you have to do is come in here, click the add button, take whatever that item is, put it in here, and then click submit. And now it will not throw away the glass. So if the glass goes into here, it will stay. It won't be exported out into the trash. But if anything else gets put in there, straight into the trash. If you don't do this, your backpack will either fill up incredibly quickly, or you will have a ridiculous number of items on the ground because your backpack can't pick it up. I've done this before where it literally lags my game down to like maybe 1 FPS, because there's so many items on the ground and it's so hard to render all of them that it's almost impossible for the game to keep up. Make sure that you have some sort of a failsafe like this so everything gets exported directly and deleted unless you actually need the item. So next up, the experience holder. In previous versions, what we've done is actually had the netherite backpack pick up all the experience. In this version, you can't do that because there's no XP crystal. So instead, what we have is this experience holder. And what it does is it picks up the XP on the ground around it. So you can change this to store the levels that you have, and you can also set a retrieve level in here. So if I want to say retrieve, when I'm standing next to it, I want to be at 30 levels all the time. It will automatically take the XP out of here and put 30 levels onto my person. So the next thing to make sure to do is increase this radius. I think it has a max of 5. Increase it all the way up to 5, and then you should be good to go. The only thing to remember is if you want more XP, all you have to do is increase this target level, and it will automatically withdraw the XP to get you up to the target level that it has set in here. So that should be the entire setup for the front. We're going to be collecting all of the items, keeping the ones we want, collecting all of the experience, and then also have a way to put that onto our person. Next up, let's talk about spawners. So they changed some of the modifications that you can put on spawners in all the mods 10. What we're going to be looking at is we're going to be setting up spawners for zombies and blazes, and we are going to be putting nether stars, conduit, fermented spider eye, wool, blocks, sugar, gas tears, and chorus fruit onto each one of them. Now, obviously that's a lot. There are some of those, in fact, all of those, that are optional. Each one of them provides a benefit to you if you were to modify the spawner with them. However, you do not have to use any of them. What I will do though is I will go through each one individually to show you what they do and why you should put them on your spawners, but whether or not you do is completely up to you. The spawners are going to go on these 5 platforms inside. It's important to note that these are going to be 3 blocks higher than the level that you put your entity conveyors on. The reason for that is because Endermen and wither skeletons are both slightly higher than 2 blocks tall. So if you were to only do this 2 blocks above, they would get caught on the spawners themselves and would not actually flow all the way to the front. So make sure that they are 3 blocks higher. We're going to set a mob spawner down. You can hold control to see the stats of these spawners. And let's start going through each one of these individually. It's also important to note before we get into that you can modify the spawners with spawn eggs to change what the spawners are actually spawning. So if you want this spawner right here to spawn zombies, all you have to do is right click it with a zombie egg and it'll start spawning zombies instead of whatever else it was before. Also, to pick up these spawners, all you have to do is mine them with a pickaxe with Silk Touch. You can also put them in a cardboard box. There's a couple different ways to do it, but Silk Touch has always been the easiest for me. One final tip before we get into this, you can also get very good spawners out of the dungeons in the other, or the dungeons that come in with, I believe it's irons and spell books. Both of those have spawners in their buildings that already have really incredible stats on them. In fact, the ones in the other dungeons are better than what you can even modify them to. So it's a little cheat code there. If you want to go get those spawners, there's less modifications that you have to put on them. But all right, let's go ahead and get started. So you can see that the minimum spawn delay right now is 200 ticks. We're going to right click this spawner with sugar. You can see it's now down to 160 ticks. So we're going to keep doing this until it gets to whatever the max level it can, which is 20 ticks. So the minimum spawn delay is modified by using sugar. Conversely, the maximum spawn delay is modified by using clocks. So you can see it's at 800 right now. We start right clicking it with clocks, it starts going down. We're at 560 right now. We'll go all the way down to the minimum for that. So now at minimum, it will spawn every 20 ticks, and at maximum, it will also spawn every 20 ticks. So the next thing we're going to modify this with is white wool. You can use any color of wool on this, it just has to be wool. If you right click it onto the spawner, you can see that now it has a silent modification to it, which means that the mobs that are spawned by this spawner will make absolutely no noise. This can be incredibly helpful, especially as you get a whole bunch of these spawners going and there's a whole bunch of mobs spawning all at the same time. They won't be very loud. Next up, fermented spider eyes. What this does is it increases the spawn count, which means the number of entities that can spawn every single time it tries to spawn a set of the mobs. We'll put some of these on there. It looks like the max is 16. Conduit is next up. What this does is it allows it to ignore conditions. Mobs generically have certain conditions that they can spawn under, specifically light levels, where it has to be a certain level of darkness in order for those mobs to spawn. It will ignore all of those if you just use conduit. Now, the nether star can be difficult to get, but if you've got a certain amount of them, especially if you're using hostile neural networks or something like that, if you use that on here, it allows it to ignore players. This one is incredibly handy because if you don't use it, then you have to stand within the activation range, which for this spawner is 16 blocks, in order for it to actually spawn mobs. If it ignores players, you can be as far away as you want, just have the chunk loaded, and then it'll continually spawn mobs. All right, we're making good progress. 2 more. We have gas tiers. This increases the maximum number of entities that can spawn each time it tries to spawn a set of mobs. I believe the max on this should be 32, it looks like. So you can just use gas tiers to increase that. And then finally, chorus fruit. Chorus fruit is especially handy because this turns off the AI for the mobs, meaning that if the mobs spawn, they're just going to be basically dormant. They're not going to do anything. They're not going to try to fight anybody. They're just going to stand there, not move, not do anything, which allows them to funnel straight from the spawner to the ground to the mob mashers. All right. That was a lot, but those should give you a pretty good idea of what you can and should do for each one of your mob spawners. So if you use this setup and you go 10 blocks high, you will have the ability to add 5 monster spawners times 4 to each one of these pylons. Now, in general, I will reserve the middle pylon for any special mobs that I try to get using a mob swap. But this one right here will be reserved for special things, but for now, I'll build it up just to show you the concept. Make sure to break these blocks as you set the spawners on, because they will catch Endermen and other mobs like that. And then finally, before we put a roof on this thing, it's important to note you should 100% get some type of a slab and place it on top each one of these mob spawners. That way mobs do not spawn on top of the pylons themselves. When you're finished, the inside should look something like this, where there's 5 different pylons in here, there's slabs on top, and then finally, we can put a roof right over the top. And then just like that, we have a fully completed mob grinding setup. So again, just to walk you through everything, we have a 13 by 13 building with a 5 by 5 front area, The backpack will pick up anything. And this item pipe will choose what items you want to keep and what goes into the trash can. The experience holder will pick up all of the experience that's going to eventually flow inside. And then on the inside, like we showed earlier, we have our 5 pylons of mob spawners, and we can choose whatever spawners we want for that. And now you also know what all the modifications are that you can put on each of those spawners. I sincerely hope that you found this tutorial helpful. If you did, please feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section below. Also, if there's anything that you feel like I missed, please feel free to let me know. There's a lot of people that watch these videos to try to get an idea of what they want to do in their world. So any comment that you can leave down below that helps people out is a great thing to me. Again, I hope you found this video helpful. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget, you're special, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.